If you're new here, my name is Javier, and I aim to give you a comprehensive and easy to digest tutorial into the Minecraft modded experience. If you guys do have any further questions or something I may have missed, you can either join the Discord with a link below, where we have a whole section dedicated to modded Minecraft, or feel free to leave a comment here and I'll try my best to answer any queries or help troubleshoot any problems you are having with the mod. So, today we're going to be looking at the forestry add-on mod, Magic Bees, and I will say this mod was incredibly difficult to find a lot of information on. I really had to scour the internet, and there are a few parts missing. There is also some compatibility issues of certain versions of the mods in question. So what this mod actually does is it ties in a lot of the magic mods into forestry, so it's actually designed to help give you some rarer items, etc. from Formcraft, and specifically Formcraft 4, it looks like, and most of us are playing Formcraft 6 on 1.12.2, and I have seen that actually it is a little bit outdated for Formcraft 6, and you will notice that when we're going through this video. Ars Magica, which the most recent version for Ars Magica was 1.7 of Minecraft, so there is some bee breeds missing from this tutorial because this tutorial is for 1.12.2, which my whole forestry series is, so it didn't make any sense to go back and do that. And then I know that Ars Magica 2 has actually been remade, but that only starts at 1.16, so there's no 1.12.2 Ars Magica from what I can see. So those bees are not included. Thermal Foundation and Thermal Expansion are in here, and Tinker's Construct and Botania. So those are the mods that this kind of helps out with. So first of all, we're going to go through world generation. So here you've got the Curious Hive. These can be found in forest, plains, or hill biomes, and these will be up in the trees. And these will give you mystical bees. Then you have the Unusual Hive, and this gives sorceress. Next up, you have the Unusual Hive, and this actually gives unusual bees. This can be found in plains, mountains, hills, or river biomes, and these hives will be on the ground. Then it's the Resonating Hive, which gives the sorceress bees, and this will be found in very hot or sandy and magical biomes as well, randomly. Then you've got the Deep Hive. These are in hills or mountain biomes, and apparently magic biomes. And these are super deep underground near bedrock, and you'll actually find them around like groups of redstone. So where redstone is, but very, very low, and only in hill and mountain biomes. And this will give you the Attuned Bee. Then we have the Infernal Hives, which, you guessed it, are found in the Nether, and they're actually found around precious ores, and you usually have to dig for them. They're not like out in the open, so I think when you're flying around the Nether, if you look up on the ceilings, you might get lucky and see them. They're not that hard. You do see them, but you may have to dig for them, but they're not on the surface. And these give infernal bees. Then the Oblivion Hives, and these are found in the end near obsidian pikes, and they're always surrounded by 6 end stones, so you're going to have to like dig away at these ones. And these give Oblivion Queens. Sorry, these give Oblivion Queens from the Oblivion Hive. What a surprise that is. So first up, we're going to go through some basic items that the mod actually adds, and there's actually some really cool stuff in here. Some of this is really badly documented online as well, so I really had to do some digging for this, so kudos to me. First up is the Lore Fragment, and this is actually produced from the Savant Bee, and we will go through obviously all the bee breeds in a minute. So if you have Formcraft 4 installed, 4 of these can be made into a knowledge fragment by placing them 2 by 2 in a crafting table, and that serves to make knowledge fragments renewable, because, I don't know if you know or not, but usually to get knowledge fragments you have to trade with villagers, or they're found in dungeon chests and they're super rare and hard to find. So these are actually produced in the Savant Bee, again not with Formcraft 6 but Formcraft 4. If you don't play Formcraft, Formcraft was totally overhauled between 4 and 6, so these are basically useless in Formcraft 6, which most of us are going to be playing. The Aromatic Lump, and these are actually really cool. So the Aromatic Lumps are placed in alveary swarmers, and these actually increase the princess production. So the swarm hives that the alvearies make. If you don't know about those, you should be watching part 3 of this series where I go over alvearies, and I will put a link up above for that. And they will increase the swarm hives, and it's much, much more productive than royal jelly. To make an aromatic lump, you are going to need 2 royal jelly, 2 pollen clusters, and an enchanting drop. An enchanting drop comes from an Arcane Bee, and again, we'll get to that in a minute. You then put some honey there in a carpenter, and that's how you get your aromatic lumps. So pretty cool. They greatly increased how many swarm hives you're going to get out there. So if you are doing that about Alviaries, that's a really cool add-on. Then you've got the Mana Steel, Grafter, and Scoop. Obviously, these are added by, technically, well, they're added by magic bees, but they're for Botania. But you can use these for anything. So these have a higher durability, and they can be repaired using mana. So Mana Steel Grafter has 16. I believe the usual one is 10, is normal Grafter. And that's just with a Mana Steel Ingot from Botania. And then the Mana Steel Scoop, again, is made just the same, but with a Mana Steel Ingot rather than iron for the normal Scoop, and that will have a lot more. Again, I always do recommend that you can actually enchant these with Mending or Unbreaking, so don't forget that if you want to increase your usage even further there. While we're on the topic of Botania, let's go through the new flowers that Magic Bees adds for Botania. So there is the Hibiscus. The puns may sting a bit. The Begonia, we won't be seeing you anymore. I hadn't actually read these before I was filming this. And the Hyacinth in a Morvellera's garden. I don't know what that means. So these are best described in the Lexica Botania, of course. One of them is the generating flora, and the other two are functional flora. So the first one is the Begonia. Drones are the foundation of a healthy colony's future, but really they can start just piling up to the point where you don't know where to put them anymore. The Begonia is a solution to the problem of overcrowding. Simply toss your spare drones in their vicinity, and they will reclaim the life force within the drone and convert it into mana. So it's basically mana generation by chucking all of your spare drones that you've got piled up, which is kind of cool. They aren't terribly picky and will produce a constant amount of mana while they work, though it does seem more complex bees provide more mana than mundane bees, whatever that means. So I'll tell you what that means. That means that a mundane bee is actually one of these that you found in a hive, and say, let's go off the basic bees. Your foresting or meadows, for example, are going to be mundane, and then your common is like a complexity 2, and then a cultivated would be a complexity 3, a noble would be complexity 4, majestic 5, and then imperial 6. It kind of works like that. I don't know if it goes as high as 6, but that's how the complexity works. It's how far down the branch of bee breeding they are. So an imperial bee would give you more mana than a forestry bee, for example. Then we have, in generating flora, the hibiscus. So ignoble bees, while exactly as useful as their pristine kin, have only one flaw. After 100 generations or so, they begin to become diseased, weak, and may die off on you. Right before you get that coveted mutation that will drive your fellow apiists with envy. It seems that there is a solution to this after all, though. With enough mana, time, and help of the very special hibiscus at your side, you can expunge the multitude of genetic weaknesses in the ignoble wild bees. Patience is a must, since hibiscus performs its magic very slowly over 2 full days. I think this is a waste of time, personally, because it takes so long, and generally, I would just go out and get pristine bees to start with, and then breed in the traits you want. But hey-ho, if you want to do this, it's super fun. It is also recommended that you use its power sparingly, as it is an incredibly mana-hungry plant. Applying a redstone signal to its roots will prevent it from absorbing new princesses or queens, but not halt the genetic cleansing operation once it's begun. Then it's the Hyacinth, and finding new bees for your stock can be a bit of a pain. Thankfully, we can tap into the memories of flowers to reproduce bees with up to 74% accuracy, maybe. Again, I think this flower is totally useless and is kind of just a bit of a meme, to be honest. The Hyacinth absorbs mana from a nearby mana pool. Once it's collected enough, it begins converting into the life essence and produces a bee. So basically, it produces random bees when you give it mana, and these are just literally super random. So it seems the species is somewhat random, though only mundane bees will ever be produced. So it's only going to be bees you get from hives, like literally. You're not going to randomly get an imperial bee or a super duper bee that's like super mutated. Like, it's just not going to happen. And roughly in proportion to how they are found in the wild. So yeah, if you want loads of like mundane bees from hives, okay, cool, you can get it this way, but I don't really get the point of it. Occasionally the flower will give itself airs and produce a vaunted heiress rather than a vulgar drone. A redstone signal... Yeah, so it's not even princesses most of the time, it's drones. A redstone signal will prevent the Hyacinth from converting mana into life essence. Okay, so that's the new 3 flowers that it adds for Botania. I think the hibiscus is kind of cool, which is the generating one, but the other 2, not so much. Then we have these random items here. So the first is a Bee Collector's Jar. Now, that can be placed in the world, and then drone bees can be placed within it. So if the bees have an effect, such as the regeneration beatific effect, which heals you, or experience, which is like the explorer effect, or poison, this will radiate from the jar as if the hive populated by an active working queen in an aviary would. So you can basically put your bees in here with their effects, and that effect will generate around it in like a nearby area. And these do stack as well. So if you want like a heroic bee that's going to fight off mobs for you, or a beatific effect that's going to heal you, dotting these around with some drones in could be quite cool. And they will last around the same time. So if you've got a drone that is ignoble, it will still only last a certain amount of time. Whereas the pristine, I do believe, will last forever in these jars. And it's kind of a cool way to like show off your bees in the jars, I think. Then we have the Enchanted Earth. Sorry, the Bee Collector's Jar is made, by the way, with some glass on the bottom and top in the corners here, some nether quartz, any sort of slab, and an unusual pollen. Unusual pollen is from a supernatural bee, and again, we will get onto the bee breeding. So that's how you make the Bee Collector's Jar. The Enchanted Earth, it basically propagates your crops quicker. This is going to be 4 dirt or podzol, etc., and an essence of false life. And yeah, that like will give you a higher chance for a growth tick, basically. That's what that does. And you can stack them beneath each other, just like you can with Mystical Agriculture's growth accelerators. But yep, that's that. Then it's the Jade Moon Dial. I believe this is for Ars Magica, and this will show you the moon phases. But again, in 1.12.2, I'm assuming this is totally useless. Couldn't find any information at all on it online. The Mysterious Magnet is pretty cool. And this is a diamond, a dimensional singularity, a block of redstone, and then 2 like level 0 ones. Level 0 is going to level 1, level 1 goes into 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and 9, actually. And what the magnet does is, it's really cool. So shift click, and it will drag things to you. It doesn't really work very well. Yeah, you have to be really near it for it to do anything. But it is cool. It does. If you've got like if you've dropped something in a hole and you want to get it out and you just can't get down into it, this is probably gonna be helpful. But it's not great, as you've just seen. But that's how you make those. And again, you do them with like a level 8, and then level 8 is like it just goes up the tiers like that. With a skeleton bone chips, these are really useful. So with the withering bee, you can get wither skeleton bone chips at a 15% chance, and then you can use 9 of those to make a wither skeleton skull fragment, and then 6 of those to make a wither skeleton skull. So that's a really easy way to then get wither skeleton skulls. Still slowly, but much easier than waiting around for 10 million years. So that's really cool. Then we have these like essences, and these are basically used to make the frames. So first you have the essence of false life. This is going to be 4 soulful wax, and that is from a soul comb. A flower in the middle, and I believe you can use any Minecraft flower. 4 glass in the corners. Then you have the essence of everlasting durability, which is 4 magic wax and a block of iron in the middle. That is going to come from various combs: the earthy, papery, fiery, memory, mundane, otherworldly, transmuting, watery, destabilized, temporal, windy, carbon, lux, endearing, and occult combs is going to get you some magic wax, and that gets you the essence of everlasting durability. Then we have the essence of a shallow grave. That is going to be the same, but rotten flesh in the middle. The essence of fickle permanence is 2 eggs, 4 soulful wax, 2 glowstone, and magma cream. Very random. The essence of scornful oblivion is 2 shallow grave essences, 4 wither skeleton skulls, and a dragon egg, and 2 essence of lost time. The 2 essence of lost time are 4 soulful wax, a clock, and glass. And then that's the last one. Again, these are basically mostly used in frames. So you have 7 new types of frame that it adds, and these are really useful, some of them. The magic frame is the first one. That is made with 8 magic wax and an untreated frame. And this is going to double your production from your bees, nearly halve genetic decay, and has durability at 240. Then you have the gentle frame. That is going to be a magic frame, which we just showed, and an essence of false life. The gentle frame reduces mutation chance by a little bit, adds lifespan to 1.5 times, and ups production by 1.4 times. So it's kind of good for a few things there, but the main thing is it reduces genetic decay to 0.01%, which means your ignoble bees are going to last so freaking long, it's going to be insane. So that's what that's really for. Then you've got the Temporal frame, and this is a magic frame with the essence of lost time. Again, you can enchant these for mending and breaking, so don't forget to do that if you want them to last longer. So the Temporal frame, I can't say it, increases lifespan to 2.5%. So this is going to increase the lifespan if you don't want them to mutate, or you've got ignoble bees, because after a certain amount of generations they will die off. But I'd recommend using this one. You could use them together to increase lifespan and then reduce genetic decay, because remember you can put 3 frames into a apiary. Then we have the Resilient frame, which is 2 times production, 800 durability, and halves genetic decay, so that's really cool. That is made with the essence of everlasting durability. And then the Metabolic frame, which nearly doubles mutation, gives you a bit more production as well, low durability. That is with the essence of fickle permanence and a magic frame. The Necrotic one is lifespan down to 0.3. So if you're trying to get mutations out, this would be quite good, because you can just cycle the mutation chance through short lifespans. It does reduce production a little bit and adds more genetic decay. And this one is with the essence of Shadow Grave. Then we have the Oblivion frame, which actually produces lifespan of 0.0001% and no production, with a low durability. And this is with the essence of Scornful Oblivion. I guess, again, this would be used if you want to mutate, and rather than upping the mutation chance. So you could use it with a Metabolic frame, which adds mutation to 1.8, and then use this, so then you're cycling the lifespans really, really quickly. And if you're trying to get loads of different breeds of bees and get them to mutate, using an Oblivion frame with a Metabolic frame could be really quick for getting those breeds. So that is all of the basic items, and next we're going to go on to the different branches of bee breeds. So first we have the Veiled Branch. So this is going to start off with your Mundane Bees, mostly from hives. So you have the Mystical Queen, which is from the Curious Hive, and these all give mundane combs, by the way. So you've got the Mystical, you have the Sorceress from the Resonating, the Unusual from the Unusual, the Attuned from the Deep, and then you also have the Eldritch Queen. So with the Eldritch one, this has a 12% chance to breed with a cultivated and any mundane one from Magic Bees hives. So you can use a cultivated with either an unusual, an attuned, a sorceress, or a mystical, and you will get an Eldritch one. Then we have the Arcane Branch. So this is going to have the Esoteric, firstly, which is a 10% chance of breeding from a Eldritch and a cultivated. And remember, an Eldritch is the one that we just made in the Veiled Branch. And that's how you get an Esoteric. And these all give occult combs at higher rates. So Esoteric, then Mysterious, then Arcane are going to give higher rates of that. Then you use your Esoteric we've just made with the Eldritch to get a Mysterious. And then you're going to use your Mysterious with an Esoteric to get an Arcane. And the Arcane is going to give a 25% chance for an occult comb, and you're also going to get enchanting drops. Occult combs, when used in a centrifuge, give magic wax and honey. Then it is the supernatural branch of bees, and in here, firstly, we have the Charmed Bee, which is going to be a cultivated and an Eldritch. That's a 10% chance of mutation. Then you want to use your Charmed with an Eldritch, and that's going to give you an Enchanted. That's an 8% chance to breed. And then you're Charmed with an Enchanted, and you're going to get a Supernatural. And that is going to be another 8% chance. The Supernatural gives otherworldly combs. They all give otherworldly combs. The Supernatural gives the highest chance, and it also gives you unusual pollen. Otherworldly combs in centrifuge give honey drops, beeswax, and magic wax. Next up is the scholarly branch of bees. So firstly, you have the Pupil Queen, which is from a monastic and an arcane. So arcane we've already made. Monastic is from the base forestry mod. And these bees are going to give papery combs. Papery combs in a centrifuge give a apparently 5.7% chance at paper. Then you've got the Scholarly Queen, and these are actually going to give you your Lore Fragments, the Scholarly and the Savant. These are both going to give Lore Fragments if you have Formcraft 4 in, and that's from an Arcane and a Pupil, and then you use your Pupil with a Scholarly to get a Savant, and it doesn't show on here because I don't have Formcraft 4, but you will get a 40% chance at Papery Combs and the Lore Fragments. Then it's the Skulking Branch, and I don't actually have any in here. I don't know what mods these are added by, but I will put an image on the screen now. So Skulking is from Modest and Eldritch with a 12% chance to breed. You then have Ghastly, which is a Skulking and an Ethereal at a 9% chance to breed. And that has the Ghastly effect, which occasionally actually spawns ghasts, which is terrible. Then you have the Spidery, which is a Tropical from the base forestry mod, and a Skulking. And that will actually give you the combs that they produce. I don't know what comb it is, I'm really sorry, with string and spider's eyes. And by the way, the Ghastly one I mentioned before does actually also give ghast tears. Then lastly you have Smouldering, which is Skulking and Hateful, and these ones can only be made in the Nether, by the way, and these give blaze rods as well. So sorry about that. As I said, information online about this mod is very hard to find, so I've had to do a lot of research into even get this much. Then we have the Aware branch. So first up, you've got the Ethereal Queen, and that's used a hell of a lot in different breeds in this mod, by the way. The Ethereal Queen, you're going to be using this a lot if you're doing a bee breeding. So this is actually kind of cool. It's basically an elemental tree of bees. So you're going to use your Supernatural with an Arcane and get an Ethereal, and this is going to produce a 10% chance for Otherworldly and Occult combs. Then you want to use your Supernatural with your Ethereal, and these all have a 14% chance, but you're either going to get a Watery, which gives you Watery Combs and Ice. Watery Combs give Ink Sacs, which is really useful, or Earthen, which gives Earthy Combs, which gives Clay at 60% chance in the Centrifuge. A Fiery one, which gives Fiery Combs, which give Blaze Powder, and Windy, which give Windy Combs, and these in a Centrifuge give Feathers. These are all at 60% from the combs, which is really, really cool. You then can use your Ethereal with an Attuned Bee to get an Aware Bee, and that's going to give an 18% chance at a Memory Comb, which can give Intellect Drops, and these can be used, 8 of them, around a glass bottle to actually make a bottle of enchanting, which is really cool. So this branch is one of my favourites. Then it's the Thyme branch. So first up, you've got the Timely Queen, which is with an Ethereal from the previous one we just showed in the Aware branch, and an Imperial from the base mod of Forestry. A Timely Queen gives a Temporal comb, and these actually give Phased Pollen, Honeydew, and Magic Wax. The Phased Pollen, I don't actually know what this is for, and I can't find anything about it. This actually gives the Time Warp effect, which causes slowness when you're around it, so make sure you've got your Apiarist gear on. Then you have the Lordly Queen, which is an Imperial and your Timely one, and this also gives the same combs, and it has the Drunkard effect, which causes nausea. And then you have the Doctoral one, which is a Timely and a Lordly, and this has the Heroic effect, which actually damages nearby mobs, and this produces Temporal combs as well. And apparently it can also give you a handful of jelly babies, but I don't have that in here, so I'm not really sure where that's from or what that's about. But if you have that, then you obviously have the mod included for that. Then we have the Soulful branch of bees, which is just a few different bees here, just the Spirit and Soul. So the Spirit Bee is from Ethereal and Aware, or Attuned and Aware, and this both has an 8% chance. It can be either one to get that bee. And these give the Memory Combs, which we saw before, and also a Soul Comb. Soul Combs are going to give you the Honeydew and the Soulful Wax, which are needed for the essences, which you make the frames. So that's how you make those. Then you want to use your Spirit Queen of an Aware Queen to get the Soul Queen, and this again is a higher chance at the same. So the Soul Comb and the Memory Foam, and again, that gives the Intellect Drops for the Bottle of Enchantings. Then we have the Abominable branch. So this is more like pure evil. And this starts off with the Infernal Queen, which is from the Infernal Hives in the Nether. These all give molten combs, which in a centrifuge give refractory wax, which remember is where you can make the high melting point wax cases. So you can put lava, etc. in them and they won't melt like the normal wax cases will. And honey drops. Then you're going to want to use your Eldritch with a Infernal. And don't forget the Eldritch is one from way back at the start of this video, and that's going to get you a Hateful Queen. A Hateful Queen is a 9% chance to breed, and that gives combs at higher rates. Then you have the Spiteful one, which is an Infernal and a Hateful, and again, this is a 7% chance to breed. And then you've got the Demonic, then you've got Withering, which is Demonic and Spiteful, and that gives a 15% chance at the Wither Skeleton Bone Chips. That's how you get that one. It's the Withering Bee for the Bone Chips. Then we have the Nameless Branch, and this starts off with the Oblivion Bee from the Oblivion Hives, which are in the end. And then you're going to want to use your Oblivion with an Ethereal, which is going to get you a Nameless one. That's a 10% chance to breed there. These bee branches are all going to give you Forgotten Combs, which give Pulsating Propolis and Amnesic Wax, which I have no clear use for Amnesic Wax. And Pulsating Propolis can be used for pulsating meshes in forestry, which are made to make ender pearls in the carpenter. So that's what combs these all give. That gets you the Nameless Queen. You then can use your Oblivion with a Nameless to get an Abandoned. You can use your Nameless and an Abandoned to get a Forlorn, and then the Imperial from the base forestry mod with an Abandoned gets you a Draconic. And the Draconic actually give Draconic Dust, which can be used 6 of to make Draconic Chunks. 8 of these around an Essence of False Life actually gives you a dragon egg, because you may know there are actually some bees that need a dragon egg nearby to actually breed, and that's their flower type. So that's another way to get that. Then we have the Metallic Branch, which is a huge branch of bees, but very useful. First up, you have the Ferrous, which is an Industrious and a Common, both from the base forestry mod. And the Ferrous is going to give you an 18% chance at an Iron Nugget. Then you have Industrious and Forest, which gives you a Stanum, which has a 20% chance at a Tin Nugget. Oh, and by the way, each one needs a block of the corresponding ore underneath it. So the Ferrous one actually needs a block of iron underneath the hive, and the Stanum will need a block of tin underneath the hive. The Argentum is modest and imperial, and that's going to give a 16% chance at a silver nugget. That will need a silver block underneath the hive. Common and Stanum then give you the Plumbum bee, which I love saying. That gives a 17% chance at lead. Again, lead block under the hive. Plumbum and Imperial give you an Auric. That's got a 16% chance at a gold nugget. Again, gold block under the hive. And Meadows and Industrious gives you a Cuprum bee, which is a 20% chance at copper. Then, if I go back into this other chest, you then have the Cultivated and Industrious to make an Aluminum bee, which gives a 20% chance at an aluminum nugget. An Industrious with an Infernal gives an Ardite, which is really good for Tinker's Construct, an 18% chance at an Ardite one. And then Infernal and Imperial also give you a chance to get a Cobalt. These are both 9% chances, so you could either get Ardite or Cobalt, and that gives, again, 18% of the Cobalt. Then you want to use your Ardite and Cobalt to get Manulin, and that gives you the Manulin Nugget. So it's a really, really useful branch, that one. Then we have the Gem Branch, which is the Diamandi, so an Austere and an Auric gives you a Diamandi. These give a 6% chance at a Diamond Nugget. Then you have the Austere and Argentum to get an Esmeralda, and you guessed it, that's a 4% chance at an Emerald Nugget. And then Cuprum and Rural give you the Apatine, which gives you an Apatite Shard, which you can use to make Apatite, which isn't very useful because Apatite is so easy to get anyway. Then we have the Formic Branch. I don't have anything in here, and I will put a screenshot on here of these. So you have the Stark, Aura, Ignis, Aqua, Solemn, Presacanto, Viz, Flux, Attractive, Rejuvenating, Pure, Brainy, Wispy, Batty, and Void. And these are all basically different aspects from Formcraft. They will produce the shards from Formcraft, which are really awesome, and they will actually need the crystal clusters that relate to them underneath the apiary. And then some of these can only be within 75 meters of a node or a dark node, etc. And I'll put all the effects on the screen here for you, but this is only for Formcraft 4, I believe, and not Formcraft 6, hence why I don't actually have access to this. I do actually have Formcraft 6 installed in this mod pack that I'm showing you this on right now, and there's nothing coming up. So apologies there, but it is on the screen if you need it. Again, with the fleshy, this is a poultry, which is from common and skulking. And again, I don't have skulking in my pack for whatever reason. I can't seem to work out what mod this comes from, but it's modest and eldritch to get skulking. That with a common will make a poultry queen. You then have a beefy queen, which is from common and skulking as well. And these give like chunks of leather from beefy. Poultry gives egg and feathers, but apology, I couldn't work out how to get these in here. Then we have, lastly, the Alchemical Branch, and again, couldn't get this, but this is the Mundane Bee, which is frugal and eldritch together, and this actually gives you a shard of minium, and I think that's for equivalent exchange, which I do have EC2 in, but I do believe this bee relates to an earlier version of that mod. So again, if you do have Project E installed, then be aware that this bee may be from an earlier version. So I'm not sure about that. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. That is everything for the Magic Bees mod. I hope this did answer any questions you may have. I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you may have also been scouring the internet to get some information over these, which is obviously difficult to find. So do leave a comment down below if this helped you. I'd really love to hear. And don't forget to click that subscribe button. Thank you very much, everyone. And the next video in this series, which will be airing next week, is actually around Gendustry.